menopause. Oh, that's what we're talking about today. If you heard that word and you cringed, or you heard that word and got optimistic that there would be some help, then stick around. This is Crystal Taylor, the owner and CEO of Fitness is Not a Game. And today we are talking about 3 things that you need to get rid of and 3 things you need to add if you're going through this trend, as they say, beautiful transitional phase of life. Lies you tell. If you hear me now, say, hey, if you're catching some replay, type replay. And make sure you share this with at least one woman you know who can use this. All right. So let's talk about your girl, Perry. Men, all pause. The men all pause when we menopausal in the room. I'm just playing. But anywho, I want to have this conversation because menopause used to be such a taboo conversation. And I think on some levels people still cringe, but it's starting to be talked about so much more because women are being way more vocal about the struggles that they're going through, the help that they need, all of that good stuff. So that's why I want to have this conversation, because there are so many things that are associated with menopause that we may have never thought of before. And because of that, there's so many things that we could be doing that could be making it worse. And there are things that we could easily implement that can make things better. So if you want a little bit of better, type better in the chat, because what we're not going to do is make this a bitch session. There's enough of those in this world. We're going to talk about, I don't know what happened to the song real quick. We're going to talk about some things that happened to us, but also let's talk about resolutions, y'all. And I will say this before we get started. Look, what I'm giving you today are tips and suggestions. Everything don't work for everybody. Okay. Don't come back and say, well, you told me and it was gonna work, but it didn't work. I said these are some suggestions. And I see betters in the chat. Hey, Miss Linda. Hey, Miss Julia. All right. So that's what y'all cool with that saying that I'm giving you tips and suggestions. That's my disclaimer for things that you can try. All right. So the first thing, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some things I want you to get rid of. But just because I take it away, I'm going to give you something else too. Right. So the thing we're going to talk about what to get rid of first, and then some things that we can add. And we're just going to go back and forth with that so that we end on a good note with the good stuff. All right. So the first thing that I want you to eliminate, and I really don't talk a lot about elimination. So let's just say this: when you hear me say things to get rid of, how about we change that verb and just say things to minimize, things you might want to decrease. And the first one would be those inflammatory foods that we love so much. What are some inflammatory foods that y'all love? Your processed meats, your bacons, your hot dogs. And people do still eat hot dogs, bratwurst if you want to be fancy or grown, whatever. Fried foods. When was the last time you ate something fried? Let me know in the chat. Let's be honest. This is a real conversation. We family, right? Your refined carbs, right? Like they say, the white stuff. Or they say if it's white, it ain't right. I don't believe all of that per se. However, things like your white sugars, your white pastas, your white breads, things like that. Okay. Your packaged snacks. And I'm not talking about things that come like, where's mine? I'm not talking about my little packaged trail mix that has the good stuff in there, like pumpkin seeds on it. I'm talking about the cookies, the chips, the graham crackers, things like that. When we're eating those foods, the candies, the cookies, the pies, the ice creams, all of those things could be looked at as inflammatory foods, even foods that are high in saturated fats, right? Your butter, your cheese, things like that. When we're eating these inflammatory foods, and I see, thank you for being honest. Say you had some fried food today. And when we eat these things, I see the ouch. When we eat these things, a lot of times we think about the foods that we're eating in relationship to weight gain or weight loss, right? But we're talking about something totally different now because food is fuel. So the fuel you put in your body determines how this beautiful machine called your body operates. So if we're putting inflammatory foods in it, then what's happening? We're noticing more joint pain. Uh-huh. Right? We're noticing, especially with the refined sugars, we're noticing that we're possibly grumpier, right? Spike, crash. All of those things can happen. So now we have these mood swings as if we need any more of those. So y'all, um, oh, and for anyone, if this is your first time hanging out with me, type a one in the chat. If you just stumbled across me, it's like, what this girl talking about menopause? Yeah. And if you're OG, type OG in the chat. Um, I will say this, that when I realized I was having my mood swings, I had to just apologize. Like, I mean, it wasn't nothing else I could do. But then also try to figure out why I was having so many mood swings. And then, that's why I'm coming here to talk to you all, because I'm doing this research and saying, okay, if this is how I'm responding, if this is how my body's responding, what can I do? Because I'm going to say this, y'all, even though, let me ask you this first. How many of you felt like menopause is out of control and that you don't have any control over menopause? Let me know in the chat if that's you. If that's you, type that's me. If that's you, I'm here to tell you we can still control some of these things. Now, we may not be able to stop it all, but we could at least slow them down. Right. So when you start realizing that your joints are hurting you more, when you realize that your moods are crappier more frequently, right? You have to step back and ask yourself, like, okay, what am I putting in my body to make my body respond like this? And ladies, and thank y'all for, oh, hey, ones, hey, my newbies. Hey y'all, let me say something. Let me say something. I know my mic is closed, but I need to get even closer because somebody needs to hear this. Ma'am, you are not 19, 20, 30, no more. All that stuff you used to eat, and you were like, but I used to be able to eat this and had no problem. That's a used to. You're not there no more. You're not there no more. Your body has changed. So your behavior and the things that you eat, those things have to change as well. All right. So the first thing we getting rid of, and thank y'all for being honest with the me's. First thing we want to pull away from, or at least reduce, our processed foods. And I saw somebody said, what about turkey bacon? That's real processed. I love me some turkey bacon. Real talk, I just bought me some turkey bacon on today. But it is processed. That ain't definitely processed. It ain't real. They went through a process to be made. That's how you look at processed food. Things like nuts and seeds, they're not processed. They didn't go through a process. You can go pick them and take them as they are. But when it has to go through a process to become a product, I'm not talking about cooking it, but when you have to go through a process to make it, not in its natural form, that is a processed food. All right. So Coach Crystal took something, Coach Crystal gonna give you something. What I want you to have though, I want you to incorporate those proteins and complex carbs. Proteins, and when I say protein, don't you go tell nobody that I said go get you some fried chicken. I ain't say that. Did nobody tell you to go get no hamburger? Did nobody say that? When it comes to protein, one, it doesn't even have to be animal-based protein. It can be plant-based protein as well, right? So your tofu, your tempeh, all of those things, you can have those. And I know if some people are like, well, I don't do soy, then don't do those. Because there's protein in a lot of different things, your nuts, your seeds, your beans, right? So there's a lot of ways that you can get your proteins. When it comes to those complex carbs, we want those carbs that are not white. Because why? When we have those complex carbs, you don't get that spike and that crash. It's like the energy level is residual, is building, and it doles it out. You don't get the, just like it doesn't spark and fizzle out. It's steady, because like I said, it's complex. It's, like if it's just one little finger, a little piece of paper, whoo, knock that down. But when you got something that's intertwined and wrapped up like a complex carb, you can't get rid of that as easily. Let me know if this is making sense. And we need those complex carbs because that's what's going to give us sustainable energy, that energy that we need, and it's going to help regulate our blood sugar levels. It's going to help regulate our mood. It's going to help support building our muscles. The protein will, right? And let me say this. Type this in the chat, and my OGs are used to this too. Hey, Lolo, my OGs are used to this. Get ready to type it. Carbs are your friends. Type that in the chat. Carbs are my friends. Too many people run away from carbs. You should not run away from carbs. You just got to get the right carbs. All right. When you don't have carbs, you're forcing the other macronutrients, especially protein, to do way more work because carbs are your sources of energy. If you're not giving your body carbs, now you're getting just energy from protein. And the protein can do what it needs to do to help build that muscle, support your organs like it's supposed to, right? There we go. Carbs are your friends. Don't run away from them. So during this time, I want you to make sure that you are getting your complex carbs so that you can maintain those energy levels because hmm, we know when our energy levels tank, then what else happens? We get moody yet again. All right. So y'all seeing how this food is impacting. There we go. And drink up, y'all. Oh, for my new folks, whenever you see me drink water, you drink water and type cheers in the chat. For my OGs, y'all know better. Drink some water and type cheers in the chat. And I'm thirsty today. If you can't tell. All right. So that's the first thing. So for anyone who's joining now, hey, I'm Crystal Taylor, the owner and CEO of Fitness is Not a Game. And today we're talking about 3 things to add and 3 things to avoid or minimize during menopause to make this phase a little easier, at least a little easier, right? So for each one I so-called take away, I'm going to give you something else. All right. So the first thing I said, I want you to remove because elimination isn't quite it doesn't it does you really probably ain't gonna do it. It's probably not that reasonable. Let's just be real, right? So at least look at it as reducing. And the first thing I said I want you to consider reducing, excuse me, will be inflammatory foods like your processed foods, your sugars, refined sugars, and things like that, right? Fried foods. And then I want you to add protein and complex carbs in the chat. In the chat, in your diet. All right. So next up, what we taking away now? What are we reducing? I need y'all right now. I just need y'all to type "I promise" in the chat. Type "I promise" in the chat, and then drink up because of y'all typing, okay? Because I know it's a delay. So this next one, I need y'all to promise to still be my friends and not to call me nothing other than what my mama and my daddy named me. Oh, y'all scared to say you promise. Y'all don't trust me. All right. Next up, I need y'all to limit how much alcohol you have. Now remember, I said limit or consider reducing. I see people dropping off like, oh, this woman talking kooky talk. Oh, I see the eyeballs in the chat. But I didn't say completely eliminate because can we have a real moment right now? During this time, I see lies you tell. During this time, it feels like life is life and way more, right? 1, 2, we grown, right? So I do like a little glass of wine at the end of my day. I do. Not every day, but I ain't gonna lie. I do. I like to end. It's like it's what they call it, a nightcap. That's what grown folks call it, a nightcap. So I say I don't understand the words that are coming out of your mouth. And so we like to unwind with wine, right? Play on those words. Now, this is the reason why I'm saying you may want to consider reducing alcohol if you're having it, right? Or even, oh, let's be creative, or even think about the different time. And this may sound crazy to people, but stick with me. All right, keep up. The reason why alcohol can be an issue during this time, first of all, alcohol, period, does sort of bother how you sleep. I know that when folks have a lot of liquor, they feel like, I passed out, but it's typically not a truly restful sleep. Let me know if you tracking with me right now, right? And during this time, it can make it worse for us. But what also can happen, the alcohol, if you are struggling with uh hot flashes or night sweats, think about that, because it could be the alcohol too. Now, what I was saying, to stay with me, when I talked about the timing, maybe you should have, if you plan to have a cocktail or three or some wine or whatever, have it closer to dinner and a few hours before bedtime, to let it start wearing out of your system a little bit, so that when you do go to bed, it's not going to impact you as much. All right. Let me know if that's doable. And I want you to take a moment to think about if there have been times when you notice, if you've ever struggled with hot flashes or night sweats, if you've paid attention to the patterns. And I know that a lot of times when people say, well, these hot flashes come out of nowhere, we think that. But if we really pay attention, sometimes there are patterns. Like, I don't get them frequently at all. I'm grateful for that. Um, but I did notice that I was just talking to somebody about it the other day. I noticed that I typically get a hot flash at the beginning of my workouts. It's like within the first 3 minutes, my body turns into an inferno. Like, man, what is we doing? And then it goes away, but it happens. And as I see somebody else say, there are definitely patterns. If I'm stressed, oh, I might have a hot flash out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? So think about those things. So that's why I said, with the alcohol, if you're having more hot flashes or night sweats, think about if is could possibly be tied to some alcohol you had. All right. So I'm glad y'all still here. Kudos to y'all who still here, even though I said reduce your alcohol. But let's talk about what's good for you. Right. This is the time when we have to focus on our gut health. If you are not focusing on your gut health at this age and stage in life, what is you doing? Why not? Because I'm trying to understand. It's becoming way more um, obvious and prevalent on how important gut health is. It controls all the things. Yeah, you need this thing to work in order to live. We need this to make decisions. However, when your gut is not right, none of those other things can work. They won't. This is where all of the healthy stuff is living and the bad stuff. So if it goes awry up in your gut, it becomes toxic everywhere else. So at this time, you should be taking probiotics, or at least being very intentional about foods with probiotics, right? Eating your yogurt, eating your fermented foods. Like, if you love kimchi, I'm not a big fan on kimchi, but some people love it. But at the end of the day, the whole thing is to make sure that that microbiome inside of your gut is balanced out. Okay. So I don't know if you all take it or not, but I take my probiotics religiously, because we got to make sure we're taking care of our bellies. All right. So, quick recap on the first 2 and 2. We still have 1 and 1 left. Um, I'm pretty much, hey, we're talking about the 3 things to add, 3 things to avoid during menopause, to make this phase a little bit easier. And for each one I suggest you eliminate or reduce, I'll give you one that I suggest you add. First thing I want you to eliminate or reduce would be processed foods. And then what I want you to add would be proteins, preferably like lean herb proteins and complex carbs. Second, what I want you to reduce, I can't even say eliminate. Can we be honest? But reduce or be mindful of would be the excessive or the amount of alcohol that you consume. And then the second thing I want you to add is making sure that you're taking care of your gut, whether it's by the foods that you're eating, like your yogurt and your fermented foods, or by probiotics. And number three, for each, what we're going to do, what I want you to reduce is these low calorie diets. Can we talk? Get your Tevin Campbell on. Know somebody just sang it. Ma'am, let's have a real conversation, real quick. I know, and let me know if this is you. During this phase, you may have noticed that weight loss is becoming harder and or you're gaining more weight. Let me know if this is you. You may be looking down at your belly and like, what the heck is happening? Where did that come from? So because we are gaining more, and you heard me say we, because I've gone through it too, because we are gaining more weight and it's becoming harder for us to lose weight, just a double whammy. Now, this is really the time where a lot of women become almost desperate to lose the weight and start trying all the things. So, some crazy, one crazy stat I will add is that the average American adult is going to try about 55 diets in their lifetime, right? In and out, in and out, in and out. That's on average like 2 a year if you think about it, right? So we start trying all of these things and we're getting excessive. And let's be clear. Do you all know that the majority, I'm trying to remember the stats. I wish I had the stats with me now, but it had to be at least 50 or 60% of women who are who have eating disorders after they turn 45. We think of eating disorders as something that young girls go through, and especially young white girls. Let's just be honest about it. That we don't realize that is impacting grown women of all races. And yes, that's my BIPOC women too. So it's not about it being a young girl thing. Grown women are going through eating disorders and experiencing eating disorders 45, 50 plus, because now there's this extra weight and extra fluff that we can't understand. I'm like, no, I'm not going through this. So let me try something else. And people are trying very drastic things. People are cutting calories left and right because we hear in order to lose weight, you have to cut calories. Now, scientifically, that's true. If we're focused on losing weight, 1 pound, 1 pound is 3,500 calories. So, in order to lose 1 pound, you have to burn 3,500 calories more than you consume, and vice versa. If you've gained a pound, that means that you have eaten 3,500 calories more than you burn, right? So with that, and that's over time or time frame, whatever. So because of that, people are like, well, you know what? I'm just going to cut some calories. But by definition, calories are sources of energy. They are. You need that energy in order to get through your day, and especially to add extra movement to your day, whether it's walking, dancing, skating, skiing, biking, swimming, exercising, riding a bike, whatever the case may be. You need those calories because that's where you're going to get your energy to do your housework. All of those things, they require energy, and you get that energy from calories. So when we are decreasing our calories too much, now we're slowing down our metabolism, because what's happening is your body is amazingly intelligent, right? It is learning your patterns every day. And that includes how many calories, i.e., how much energy you're going to give it. And if you have cut your calories too much, your body's going to say, whoa, wait a minute. We need to conserve some of this energy so that we don't wear her out, so that she does not pass out. Right? I can't do more than what she's giving me. So I need to slow down to make sure we get it throughout the day. And then what happens? Your metabolism slows down. But what unfortunately happens sometimes, and I'm not gonna look at nobody did, but um you sometimes you slowing down these activities, but you're not slowing down your eating sometimes, right? So yeah, you try to take all those calories in one setting, but your body, your metabolism has slowed down because you're not feeding. For my folks who are skipping meals, stop it. You're doing the same thing. You're doing the same thing. Your body has gone on. It's just like if I don't touch my computer, if you don't touch your computer, or your phone, your tablet, whatever, if you don't touch it for a while, it says, oh, she don't need me. So let me go ahead and go on sleep mode. I'm gonna chill out for a minute, right? Whether the screen dims or whatever, it's just gonna slow down. That's what your body does. If you're not giving it what it needs, it's just gonna slow down. And then all of a sudden, here you come, hangry, and you're shoving all these calories in your body, and you expect your body to burn it. How? When it's been off. It's been off. It's like just literally turning on your car and hitting the gas immediately. You can't do that. You can't do that. So I need you all to chill out on these low calorie diets because your body needs the energy. Now, again, don't you go tell nobody that Coach Krista said to go find all the foods high in calories. Didn't nobody say that. You do still want to be discerning about which calories you put in your body because all calories are not created equally. You want those nutrient dense calories. And newsflash, maybe a shocker, maybe a heartbreaker to some people, but sometimes the foods that are really good for you are really high in calories. We're talking about these nuts, avocado, good olive oils. Those things have a lot of calories, but they're good for you. So when you are uh, making yourself stick to low calorie diets, you could be depriving your body of the nutrients that they need. Okay. Let me know if this is making sense so far. Let me know if this is making sense so far. All right. If it makes sense, type makes sense in the chat as I give y'all the last good thing. So we talked about getting reducing processed food, adding proteins and complex carbs. We talked about reducing how much alcohol you consume, but adding an intentional focus on your gut health. Then I just said, hey, you also may want to reduce having a low calorie diet. And the last thing I want you to add is strength training. Baby, ma'am, ma'am, ma'am. Let me know if if you're a cardio queen, if you love doing cardio. And then let me know if you like strength training. A lot of women are still afraid of strength training for a couple of reasons. One, they equate strength training to weights. That's not true. Strength training can be any form of resistance. You do not have to lift weights. Guess what? You will not get bulky like a man because you are not a man, right? There's also this fear of looking silly if you try to pick up weights, right? Whereas I'll tell you this. Now, this is what I'm gonna say. Because it's hard. I was about to say something. People are like, girl, are you not on the internet? I am on the internet. So when you see these videos of people who do look silly, they're not asking for help. Ask for help. One, the people who work at the gym, that's their job to assist, right? But what I've also found is that the gym culture, if you're going to a gym, is pretty supportive. Don't be afraid to ask. Say hey, especially watch someone who's doing something that looks interesting to you, something you may want to try. Ask them if they would mind talking you through what they're doing and why. Now, I'm one of those people. One, I don't go to the gym anymore. Prefer to work out at home. But I will say, when I was going to the gym, I'm one of those people. When I have my headphones on, I'm in the zone. Leave me be. However, I've always been happy to help people. Leave me be, just have conversation. I don't want to have conversation in the gym. However, if you come and like, what's that move you do? Oh, wait a minute, what do you call that? What is it working? Walk me through what I should be doing. Oh yeah, all day, all day. And most people are like that. All right. And we need to do that as women right now, because I'm gonna tell y'all something. Dr. Vanessa Walker of Walker Chiropractic down in Florida. She came to, I host retreats, right? We do one every year. And she came to the retreat that we had in Jamaica last year. Um, and she was talking to the ladies there, and the way she looked around the room, I said, "Ooh." She looked those ladies all in their face, and she said, if you do not strength train right now, you are going to get osteoporosis. Since she was presenting, I was doing some work on the side of the room, right? I'm like letting her have the stage, have the floor, and I'm just working away. I heard her say that. I stopped typing and look up, like, because most people would say you're increasing your chances of. Gut punch. You are gonna get it. I say, ooh, child. Ooh. So we got to make sure, because the good doctor said it, and I believe Dr. Vanessa Walker, Dr. V is what we call her. I believe her, right? So, and we just have to, as we keep getting older, right? We already increasing our chances of falling, of injury. The stronger our bodies are, the more we're protecting, and the more agile we are, the more we're reducing our chances of falling. And if it does happen, it's we're strengthening our body so that we recover faster. And the more we work out, the better, the stronger we are, the younger we look and feel. Come on now. But what also happens, when we strength train, it does a lot for us. One, it boosts our confidence. Look, that strength training walk is different, but it also helps to reduce cortisol, that stress hormone. And we have enough of that as is. And then, especially during this time, we got a lot of it, right? But it also increases our dopamine. All right. And ladies, it's one of my favorite things about strength training, because I asked who was a cardio queen earlier. Cardio is cool. Cardio is real fun when you looking on the machines and it tells you that you burned all these calories. First of all, the machines are liars, whole nother conversation. But you look on the machine and it says you've been on here for 45 minutes and you have burned 750 calories. You like, yes, burned all them calories. But this my thing. When you stop, your calorie burn stops. It was like, oh, we done? Okay, cool. However, with strength training, when you're building those muscles, you burn calories longer. One, muscle burns more calories than fat, right? It's constantly working. And then when you are strength training and your body is working to repair those muscles, you're burning calories. So when you feel that soreness today from the leg workout you did 2 days ago, that's your body still working to repair. So you're still burning calories on today from a workout you did 2 days ago. Come on now. Just saying. So if you have not done strength training, again, I didn't say lifting weights. Strength training is any form of resistance, whether it's your own body weight, whether it's resistance bands or weights. You need to incorporate that, because as we get older, ladies, we got to have the muscle. Now, will it look like what it did 20 years ago? No. Maybe, well, I ain't gonna say no. Maybe, maybe not. However, it's gonna help with you. Oh, and when you have a muscle, it helps you to maintain your weight too. And it gives you the shape you're looking for. I always say cardio will give you the weight that you want, but weights, strength training will get you the shape that you want. When you look at the women's bodies that we admire, those don't come from cardio. They come from strength training. Shoot, all you gotta do is watch the Olympics to see that. Y'all know the difference when you watch track and field? When you watching the sprinters versus the distance runners? Come on. That's strength training. All right. So let's do a quick recap and I'm gonna let y'all go because I ain't even mean to be on here this long. We'll try to keep y'all 30 minutes or less. But I hope you found this conversation good. Let me know if this was good information for you. If you found it helpful, give me a thumbs up in the chat. All right. So this Crystal Taylor, the owner and CEO of Fitness Night Gaming, we're talking about the 3 things to avoid and 3 things to add for menopause. And for each one that I asked you to consider removing or reducing, I gave you something to consider adding. So the first thing I said, hey, you might want to reduce processed foods, but you also may want to add proteins and complex carbs. You may want to reduce, because I ain't going to say eliminate, you may want to reduce the amount of alcohol. I didn't say all alcohol, I said the amount, having too much alcohol, but also really add the intentional focus on gut health. Then I said, lastly, you really want to get rid of these low calorie diets, but you really want to make sure that you're adding strength training. So I hope you found these helpful. Let me know in the chat if you what you're going to implement, and let me know if you feel like you can implement all 6 of these, reducing and adding, because the goal is to make this phase a little easier for you. This thing is rough, it's ratchet, it's ghetto, is look, I don't recommend 1 star out of 5. But that does not mean that we can't take more control of it. All right, y'all. So, before I go, make sure you check the description, check the link in the description, because I want to give y'all some more help with this. And we don't, because I don't know how many of you, if you ever felt like you were going crazy during this time, you trying to figure out what the heck was wrong with you, ma'am, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. It's just menopause. It's just menopause. So next week, I'm going to do a training. We're going to talk about the 5 things, the 5 facts you probably didn't know about menopause, so that we can take control, because it's really about, as they say, knowledge is power. When you understand something better, it's so much easier for you to create your action plan of attack. All right. So I'm glad you all found this helpful. Yes, 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 yes. I love it. Oh, okay. So I can limit the alcohol. I love it. Love kettlebell training way more than cardio. Look, kettlebell will get you right. Will get you right. Legs, back, core, all the things. So, but with that being said, ladies, I'm gonna let you go. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Please be safe if you have to go outside, because I just want you healthy. I want you happy. I want you here. And I hope that I'll see you at next week's training. And make sure that you share this with one woman who can use this information. All right. So see you soon. And I will see you again next time. Bye, y'all.